This is so cool. So
I'm
it's so
so
nice to meet
excited. I'm
you.
very
Tell me.
you too. I've been like fangirling over your stuff, like obsessively watching all your content and listening to like, well, really what got me hooked was your Instagram. I love the memes that you share and everything makes personal finances just more like, I don't know, tangible. It's not, it's like less out of reach when you like compare it to different things in like pop culture. I love it. So thank you for doing that on Instagram. Um, I think I found you, I'm trying to remember. I think because I was taking a class at NGPF and Miss Be Helpful was running it. Um, so she was running it and she mentioned in passing the first day that she had a YouTube channel, but she didn't even say, I don't think, what it was. So then like I loved the
Yeah.
class she was teaching and I loved her style. So I was like trying to find her online because I just have her name, but eventually I found her channel and then it connected me because I think you guys did hella helpful together. And I like saw you and Hey Berna and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to like get everything that I can from these brains. You guys are just great. All of you, the way that you teach and the way you talk about things. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm having so much fun doing it. And Yaneli is great. She's also one of those like natural born teachers, she just loves to teach and educate. And I've been teaching at a college for the past 5 years. So for me, it's also just like always trying to figure out what's the best way to simplify things, to make it easy to understand. And I also like to have fun. Like I'm a party girl at heart, even though like there's no partying going on right now, but I do like to make it a lot of fun. So thank you so much. I'm excited.
I'm so excited to have Julie here. She is the JLo of personal finance. She is a recent Plutus winner. Congratulations. She is also known as the Investing
Yeah.
Latina. Yeah. I think you can find her on Instagram on at Investing Latina, and I think you also have Ask Me Money Things at Ask Me Money Things going. Is that correct? The active stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So she talks about Julie has a great understanding of all things finance, and she talks a little bit about credit card debt, investing, going from being a shopaholic to a minimalist, budgeting, current events.
Yep.
I mean, everything, entrepreneurship, real estate. I mean, everything you can think. She's like got her hand in a little bit of everything. And she was just telling me she's going to be doing a series on student loans and student loan forgiveness and kind of wading through that. So that'll be something to look forward to probably in
Yeah.
January that'll come out.
My cousin is a speech language pathologist, and I know, so she's an SLP like you, and she's actually doing a series with me on YouTube for student loans
Are you serious?
because she just
Is that when you
graduated.
start?
She finished her full program. We're filming it this month,
Oh, okay.
and we're
Okay.
hoping to launch it mid January. I know it's not out yet, but it's
Oh,
exciting because we're gonna break it all down. She has actually 250, almost $60,000 of
yeah.
student loan debt. I don't know if you graduated with that much, but she just has a lot, and she's basically starting her journey now. So we're gonna kind of tell her story and also provide resources when it comes to student loan forgiveness and the type of payment plans that are out there. So I'm really looking forward to that series.
Awesome.
It's coming out in January. I know that there are so many people out there that truly are maybe a little bit lost when it comes to student loans. So I want to provide a little bit more resources in terms of where you can go and how you can approach, just handling a massive amount of debt.
That's awesome. And I was telling Julie, I absolutely love her Instagram because she puts a lot of financial things kind of in the context of like pop culture with like memes and things that make it like relatable. And it's very nice to see that instead of just being overwhelmed by all the terminology and all the concepts and all the different things that you can get lost in, just kind of having that basic, okay, I can understand J-Lo, I can understand Beyonce. Like that helps me to kind of look at things and laugh a little bit about it. So how did your brand Investing Latina come to be?
Yes. Okay. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story and how I ended up being Investing Latina. I essentially started being in Investing Latina when I was 19 years old. And I am an immigrant in this country. I was born in the Dominican Republic and I moved to New York with my parents when I was 4 years old. At their own businesses, they started working minimum wage jobs, but they eventually had their own business and always were like on the go and doing so many things. And I get a lot of inspiration from them and the life that I saw them live. I ended up studying fashion and economics in school. So I had this interest in design and art, but I also really was intrigued by business and numbers. And so I merged that together and made my own sort of degree when I studied here in New York at FIT. And in between that, while I was studying, I also took on a job at a nonprofit organization. And I was 19 years old and I started working at this nonprofit, and they didn't have any requirement in order to start signing up for the employee sponsored retirement account. And so I did that and I had no idea what I was doing, but I signed up because they said, "Hey, if you put money in, the company matches," and they gave you free money. And literally the HR girl was like, "Do you like free money?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." I do. I like to work, but I definitely would like free money. And she said, "So just sign up for it and they'll take money out of your paycheck and it's for retirement." And I'm like, I have no idea what all of that means, but she said free money, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And that's kind of how my journey started. And it's funny because I tell the story now 12, 13 years later, and I'm like, it's that's exactly how it always starts. You have no idea, and then you just get started, you get into it, and you learn throughout the years, and time passes and you slowly just learn more. So that's really the inspiration behind the name. So when I was thinking of starting to talk about money and really being a resource for other women like me, Latinas, women of color, people that just don't really kind of see themselves in a lot of finance shows or in experts and things like that. So I that's how I came up with the name. I'm like, I've always been investing. I'm Latina. I want to definitely be myself. Even though I was actually anonymous at the beginning, I still wanted to kind of shine through even that anonymity through just like the jokes and the personality. And eventually I did come out and I showed everybody who I was, because I slowly just started to recognize the importance of video. And I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna make video, I'm gonna have to show my face. And so I came up with the name and I launched Investing Latina, and it's like a year and a half at this point. And it's been amazing how much of a great response it's gotten. And it just goes to show that there's so many people that are interested in investing, so many women that I really want to be able to reach and let them know that we have to do this for ourselves, because we can't necessarily depend on our jobs to do it. We definitely cannot depend on the government to provide a safe retirement for us in the future. So we have to take actions into we have to take it into our own hands, right? We have to take action. So that's kind of how it began. And now it's like this like beautiful thing where I teach workshops and I meet with people one-on-one, and the course is coming out soon. So it's become this beautiful thing out of something that really just came out of me, my experience in life, and having this exposure to investing that really led me to this place.
That's awesome. You talked a little bit about other women and helping women with this. And I know you do have an investing workshop coming up. Can you share a little bit about how you decided to get into that and what that workshop will kind of focus on?
Sure. So the investing workshop is it's already been a year in the making. And I really wanted to provide just a platform, a place where people can come together and I can go over the basics. And that's what this particular one does. And when we talk about investing, there are a handful of strategies that we can talk about. And in this particular workshop, I go over one strategy, which is an index fund and ETF strategy. And for those of you that are watching that don't really know what that means, I'll give you a quick little breakdown. So when we invest into the stock market, there are a handful of stock exchanges that exist, and we have ones that are US based, and there's many international ones as well. And so in all of these exchanges, companies are traded. And what happens is that you have the all thousands of companies that are being traded on these stock exchanges. And if you think about that, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And you're like, oh my God, how am I supposed to pick the right stock out of all of the thousands of companies that are out there? And so what index funds does is it actually creates a basket, and it picks a bunch of these stocks that will represent the entire market, and it'll make life super super easy for you to get started, especially at the beginning. And a lot of people use this specific strategy to build their wealth and actually retire early, because that's how focused they become on making sure that they're investing a lot of money into the market. So that's what I cover in the investing workshop, index funds and ETFs. I also have another workshop coming up, which is also the investing workshop, but dividend investing. So you'll see that over the course of the year, there will be different types of strategies that I'll go over, and how you can get started if that's the one that you, or even deciding if it's the right one for you. You can kind of attend the workshop, and after the workshop, you also get a one on one with me. So it's kind of like a little touch base on what you absorb from the workshop, or if you have any additional questions that you need answered. So that's kind of how it goes down. But it's such a beautiful opportunity to bring people together, like-minded people together, where they can ask questions. And every time someone asks a question at the end of the presentation, it just leads to like 5 other questions, because it gives people an idea. Oh yeah, wait, I have a similar situation to that. What would you do in this scenario? And it's a collaborative, like people jump in and they give their own advice, and I also like ultimately share mine. And that's the point of it. I think that having these um safe spaces to have these money conversations is something that we don't necessarily imagine anywhere else, or really have access to anywhere else. So that's why I love hosting the investing workshop.
That's awesome. And it's so nice because I don't know about everybody, but I know a lot of teachers, all of the finance talk is just so overwhelming. It seems so difficult to really get a grasp on what it is you should do, who to trust, what to study, which one is your best option. And the fact that you make it so comfortable for a lot of people who maybe aren't confident in talking about finances to ask those questions and have that conversation and open that dialogue is just invaluable. And thank you so much for doing that, making it easier for a lot of us to say, okay, I can at least start here and feel comfortable asking what might be a stupid question in another area, but you have the patience and the know-how to get people to talk and, say that
Yeah.
they don't know, they need help. So that's amazing. Why do you think it is so taboo across America to really talk finances, to really understand money and talk about where our gaps in knowledge are? And why do you think that is?
I think that in general, we are very much concerned with the things that we do, our careers, our families. And a lot of time, money is kind of the last thing that we think about. Obviously, we know that we have to get up in the morning because we have to make money, but we don't spend a lot of time really building a relationship with money. And I think that that has led to the environment that we're in, where people don't really want to talk about it because they don't have a level of comfort with their own money to
Mhm.
be able to have conversations with others about it. So and and we grow up like this, and I know that my parents would always just say things like, oh, make sure you save money, don't spend all of your money. But that was kind of as far as the advice went, and it really was just like, okay, but for what? And that's a really really key factor in allowing us to put together our own ideas and our own plans, is really knowing what we want out of our money, what we plan to do with it. And so when you kind of are just living life and really literally just trying to get by and trying to excel in your job and with your raising a family, it can be difficult to set us time aside for that. And having these conversations, I think, is like a reminder to people, like, you do need to do it. You know, this is important because one thing is for sure, and that is that time will pass. Time passes no matter what. And it's just a matter of us kind of having that sort of uh, acknowledgement on, you know, what it is, how we're bringing in money, what our income strategy is, what our outflow of income of money is, and then also what's the overall purpose of everything, right? Because it's hard to just kind of go through life, oh, working, and not building a sort of picture for yourself of what you imagine what next year will look like, what you imagine in 5 years, or, you know, ultimately what retirement's going to look like for you. And I love talking about money so that people can basically force themselves to have those that moment of of self-reflection, so that they can make a change and so that they can get a little bit better day by day.
Yeah. And I love, again, that you're so relatable because in one of your videos, you even said that you were investing blindly for 10 years. So can you talk a little bit about kind of,
Yes.
you just, you heard about free money, you signed up, but would you have done it the same way again? Like, do you know something now that you wish you would have known then when you got started?
Definitely. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, forget it. Hindsight is always 2020. But I definitely am happy that I started, even though I didn't know. So I think that that's always the thing. If you're in that place right now, if you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, I have no idea, literally open an account, and everything, you'll figure everything else out. Okay. You can find resources, you can do research, but just literally commit to starting today, right while you're watching this video. Just open an account, right? And then you slowly grow. But something that I definitely didn't know is, you know, I had a company sponsored account, and those are always based, mostly typically based off of a target date strategy. So it means that depending how old you are, that's how it's going to depend how aggressive or not aggressive it is. And you also have to select what you consider yourself to be, whether you're a high risk type of person or moderate or low risk. And that is something that's really important because it really will establish or determine what kind of investments you're going to have in that single account, right? So that's your first part of your portfolio. And something that I didn't know was about IRAs. So even though I had this company sponsored account, I didn't really have the concept of what the purpose of it was, how much I could really invest into it, which, you know, if you're watching this in 2020 or 2021, the maximum on these company sponsored accounts is $19,500. So, you know, if I feel like if I would have known that a little bit more, I could have maybe done a little bit more, or push myself a little bit further to get to that, because I think that that's always knowing like what's the most that you can contribute to account is a great way to kind of set a goal for yourself. So maybe it won't be this year that you accomplish that, but you can kind of set yourself up so that you're reaching for that year after year, so you can get closer to that. Because imagine putting $19,500 into account and letting it, and literally never putting anything into that account ever again, becomes thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in a 30-year span. So that's the power that the market has. And that's the power of the compounding interest that we make, and also the power of dividend reinvestments, which is, you know, they're all little instruments that are within these investment accounts.
I think I'll have to join you for your dividend class because I've been so interested in learning kind of the basics for so long, and I keep hearing things about dividends, and that's just been like one step beyond what I'm comfortable with, but I need to get there. So I'm going to push myself in your class, I think. A lot of entrepreneurship in your family, you said. So what were you said you didn't have a whole lot of guidance as far as like what to save for or how to invest or anything like that. What were money views like with a lot of entrepreneurs around your family?
It was definitely about how to make more money, right? How to make more money. And I think that was always the goal. I think in general I didn't see a lot of control in terms of, okay, let me save this money. It was always, you know, like paper chasing, we can say. So and for an entrepreneur, that's extremely important. And a lot of times we kind of think about, oh, what are ways that I can save more money, or what can I cut out of my budget to save more money? But a lot of times people won't think about, how can I increase my income? What are the things, what are steps that I can take today that in 6 months or in 1 year will lead me to be in a position where I can get a promotion or raise, or just start something completely. And I think that that's kind of the things that we have to balance out, because we should always be doing both. And I think growing up, I always definitely saw my parents and my family always, like, making money and starting businesses. And really that's because of necessity. It was because there were many reasons. My parents being immigrants and not knowing the language very well, it was difficult for them to get a job here. It was kind of like they didn't check that box. You didn't know English well, you didn't understand, you wouldn't be able to communicate with people because you weren't a native English speaker. So for them, it was really a necessity to open their own business and do their own thing and make and meet their skill level to the goal that they had of earning money. And eventually they definitely became very, very comfortable. They learned English, and that all happened throughout the years that they were working in their bodega, which is what they had. And that was something that taught me a lot, because I worked in the store, and I did customer service, and I unpacked the boxes, and I organized things. So there was a lot of that went into my own personal education, just by being there, by being around that.
I think that's so valuable too, because you're talking about all the different kind of roles you have just working in a shop like that, in a bodega. But even with any entrepreneurship type of thing, I know I struggled for a while. I was doing private therapy, and I love the therapy aspect of it. I love going to see the kids. I love working with the families, but really digging in and realizing that's not it. That's not the half of it. Like, you have to get good at the business end of things and looking at the money and saving for taxes and knowing how to do that, or knowing how to reach out to the right people. That having that experience growing up probably put you so far ahead as far as like entrepreneurship. You kind of saw all the working parts, so you kind of know what you're doing at 19 when you were, starting out on your own.
Like, there were so many things that I learned even in my career working in the fashion industry, but it was definitely a great foundation. It was good exposure. And I think exposure is probably the key thing when it comes to money, when it comes to investing, is just being able to see something for yourself. And also, literally reading, because I think that there's so many books out there that change people's lives. It changed people's perspective on how they see things, and it removes the limit that they might have created within their own minds. So just exposing yourself to things that you're interested in, and things that you enjoy, is a really great way to kind of get started. But I understand your point in terms of, you have to really know a business. You can't just go into something and say, oh, I'm going to start, a company, and not really understand the money behind it. So that's like the next level challenge beyond personal finances. It's like, okay, how am I going to, manage my business books now? Now it's not just about, okay, what's my rent and how much am I spending on food, but what are my advertising and marketing costs? What are the things that I need? What's the technology costs involved in the things that I need to run my business?
Yeah, and it's awesome that you go into all of this on your YouTube channel. You kind of touch on everything, which has been so helpful to kind of learn from you and all your experiences. I know you've had some experience. You shared a little bit about some of your credit card debt and history with that, and how you kind of crawled out of that. And that's something that most of us Americans are struggling with. So can you share a little bit about
Yeah.
your credit card story and how you got through that?
Yeah, for sure. So remember I told you all that when I was 19, I started investing, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, but I did it blindly. And I think that was also something that we had kind of mentioned a little bit earlier. I just put money in. I had no idea. It was just going into that company sponsored account. Cool. I didn't think of anything beyond that. And so what happened to me as I started making more money in my field, in my career, I also started spending more because I thought, oh, I could treat myself. You know, I've reached this place. I spent 6 years in school. Like I have multiple degrees, and I was just kind of like, okay, I deserve things now because I worked so hard for it. And as soon as I got like that job out of college, you know, there was this sense of pride, and there was also this sense of I wanted to celebrate my achievement, and a lot of that was funneled through purchasing things and buying clothes and shoes and accessories, and it was just kind of like the lifestyle that I thought that I really wanted. And unfortunately that led to a lot of credit card debt. And it was when I got to that place where I had so much debt, I was just like, what in the world? How? What did I do? But you'll realize that if you're buying Chanel bags all the time, that it will
Here.
accumulate very fast. So that was my specific, you know, scenario and the situation that ended up being in. And I eventually had to really dig myself out of it. And it was also one of those situations where it was like out of necessity, because unfortunately my father got sick. And it was shortly after I graduated college, and I was super happy about everything and I was doing great. I had gotten a really great job, and I was doing all the things that I imagined I would be doing after graduating, living my best life, right? But my father got sick, and that was really, really tough for me and my entire family. We didn't know, you know, how long he would be sick or even if he would kind of survive his diagnosis. So it was something that started to change my mindset, and I started to think, you know, I've always lived life feeling like I would be okay. But what I also learned during that time was that I depended on my parents a lot emotionally for stability. You know, I still live with them even while I was in college, and I loved it. I always loved being around my family, and I didn't really I didn't feel like I needed to move out. So I really, you know, took advantage of that in that respect. But then I realized, you know, if I don't have my parents, how am I going to survive? How am I going to continue to live like this recklessly, buying things, shopping, going out to the fancy dinners? So it just really was something that it was a little bit of a wake up call for me. And I slowly started to kind of pull back and say, all right, you know, I had to kind of get it together. I know, yes, I'm making money, but do I really want to be in the position where I'm struggling? Do I want to be in the position after I work so hard to earn my degrees, to get these jobs, and I'm constantly, you know, looking for promotions and new opportunities? Why would I work so hard to then throw my money away
Mhm.
or be in debt, you know, and have all of this interest accumulating? Because, you know, that's the issue. The issue is not putting something on your credit card. The issue is the interest that you pay on that purchase and how much longer it takes you once you start accumulating interest to pay off that, you know, fancy dinner that you bought or that one pair of shoes that you bought. So yeah, I kind of started to change, and I went through a minimalist lifestyle switch up, and I realized I really didn't need all these things. I had a closet full of things that weren't necessarily making me happier. They were cute, they were, you know, it
Mhm.
was nice, it looked great, but at the end of the day I didn't feel happiness because I didn't feel security. And I think that that's something that we all want, and that we all want to feel. We all want to know that, you know, we're stable, we're in a good place, we can afford to pay our bills and, you know, our rent or mortgage, or, you know, just have everything covered. And so really looking for that security, I started to change my financial life.
That's awesome. You're speaking to me so much right now. I relate so much with so much of what you're saying because, I mean, my family's got a lot of entrepreneurial kind of spirit too. My dad's had his own consulting business for a long time, and I worked for him part time, even with all my other jobs that I would have going on. I worked for him and always had that kind of safety net. and, would lean on it and just get used to budgeting that money in. It's kind of extra money and fun money and all of that. Or if something came up, it's like, okay, well, I have this other part-time job. And he passed away suddenly in 2015. And it was like, your whole world just like shakes. Like the foundation under you is like, oh my gosh, I was leaning on this for so long and just not ever expecting that to not be there, So to say that, I totally feel you that like I had to learn how to stand on my own 2 feet and like be there for my mom too, so she could lean on me and all of that and figure out how to get through that. So I just think that's awesome that you're bringing all of this out to like make it, comfortable again, to just say, this is reality. Like you can lean on people and you can have those safety nets, but realizing that they're not always going to be there. So to have a kind of plan going is a great idea. That also made me think, you were talking about interest and how that's kind of the silent beast that you don't even really think about. And that's one thing that got me. I forgot who said it way back when I started getting into all this, but like listing out your net worth, like everything that you own versus what you owe. And looking at that made me sick. When I was looking at my student loans, I was like, oh my gosh, here I feel like I'm making my, bill payments on time and I'm like treading water and I'm doing okay. But you're not treading, like you think you're treading water, but when you see a big negative sign for your net worth, you're like, I need to get out of this. I don't want to be worth nothing, like negative amounts of money.
Being negative, oh man, it's tough, right? But I want to also leave the message out there that there are a lot of people that have large student loan debt.
Right.
And I don't want people to see this and think that they can't invest. All right. That's the one message. If you get anything out of this video, is that even having debt, you should be investing, because you go into work and you make money for yourself, right? You cash in that check at the end of the week. It's hours that you work that you got paid for. When you're investing, the money that you put into the market, it's millions of people that are putting hours in to increase the revenue of all of these companies and increase the profit of these companies so that you can also benefit from it. So don't try to pay off all of your life and all of your student loans on your own. Put your money to work into the stock market. And as you're putting money into the stock market, you're reducing your debt. So try to always find a balance to do both, because something that was really exciting a couple of years ago when I looked at my investment accounts, and in 2017 we had a 22.3% year. The market was up 22% in 2017. That is actually almost beyond any interest on a credit card that you would be paying, which is really fascinating. And that's the point of the market. That's just how it functions. That's just how it works. And you have to understand that we can't predict when the market is going to be up, when it's going to be down. People try to, but it's like a losing game, because we would have thought that this year the market would have tanked completely. And we're about 12 points up from the beginning of the year, even going through a pandemic.
It's crazy.
So it's something that you have to kind of keep in mind, even as you're paying off student loan debt or any other kind of debt, is that you should try to find a balance so that you can also invest and have that money growing for you.
Yeah, that's a great point. A long time ago, when I first started getting into like budgeting and all of that, I fell into the mindset of the Dave Ramsey group at that point, when they were all about like paying off all your debt first and not investing. And I so regret that I drank the Kool-Aid so hard because you can't get that time back. Like if I were investing a little bit, it'd be compounding over all this time, where now, I mean, I've learned better. So I'm balanced now and I'm doing both, paying down debt and investing. But man, to just look back and see, like now I know about like Bankrate I think it's bankrate.com, or you can put in like all the numbers and like see, okay, had I been investing even $100 every other month, what it would look like today is disgusting. And like it just makes, I don't know, it gives me a sinking feeling to be like, had I listened to more than one voice, I would have had a better idea and a better way of making a decision, So that's what I love now about finding everybody like you.
And that's a great tip. That's a great tip, because it's very important for people to kind of hear different voices. It's really important for you to get different opinions on things so that you can form your best opinion. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we exercise, that's why we have a lot of different sources and information. And I think that, yeah, it can be tough because you do drink the Kool-Aid when you see something and it sounds so good and it sounds, it's a beautifully painted picture. You are chasing that photo, like that image, that, oh, debt freedom, it looks so good. And people are celebrating that they're debt free. But it also is a little bit of, a disadvantage when you are not participating holistically into a financial structure that is here for us to use. So that's, it's made for us. The stock market was designed for all of us so that we can all collectively come together, invest into companies that are innovating, companies that are creating. So it was designed for us to use, and we just need more knowledge and we need more education on how better to use it.
That's so important. Um, so you said you think it's so important to get different voices and to do a lot of reading. You said there are a lot of books out there that you pulled from. What are some of your favorite resources? Some of your favorite books or podcasts or YouTube channels that you've pulled from?
Yes. So I love JL Collins, The Simple Path to Wealth, because it literally outlines how easy it can be. You have it, yes. So it tells you exactly kind of what you can do to make life easy for yourself so that you're in the position where you don't even have to spend that much time thinking about money. You don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about, oh, what kind of things am I going to invest in? And you can spend a lot more time just living and doing the things that you enjoy most. Because although finances is very important, let's be honest, not everyone is like a money freak like I am. Like, you get excited about like interest rates and things like that. Not everyone is like that. And that's normal. That's okay. That's normal. So the best thing is for you to kind of find what is going to work great for you. And I think the simple path to wealth can work really well for a lot of people. For most people that really don't want to spend too much time thinking about money, but really do want to put their money in the right place. And he goes over the strategy that I teach in the investing workshop, which is investing into index funds and ETFs so that you can put money in and just let it coast, and it'll grow over the decades to make you a millionaire. So I do love that book. I also love one that came out recently that I'm in, and it's by Clever Girl Finance, Bola Sukumbi, and it's called Grow Your Money. And it's also a really simple, easy to read book that gives you case studies of how different people have grown their money and how they've invested into the market. And I do share my story in there. And so that's available, and it's on Amazon and everywhere where books are sold. So that's my second favorite. And I also am waiting for one that's coming out, and it's by Broke Millennial, Erin Lowry, and she wrote a book that's called what's it called? Oh my gosh, it's called Let's Talk Money, I believe it is,
Okay.
and we'll put it in the show notes just to be sure. But it's coming out at the end of the month, and literally I've been seeing the promo for it and I'm so excited. I pre-ordered it a couple months ago. But that book is about money scripts, how to talk to people about money.
Oh,
So that is one that I'm super super excited about, because I think that talking to our family members can be a bit of a challenge, and for some people even a struggle. And that book kind of outlines how to go about it, how to talk to family members, how to talk to even coworkers or your boss. So it has a lot of like different scenarios that I'm excited to dig into. So those are three that I would recommend. I think that you can kind of pick books that you can enjoy reading, and also of course where you can learn and pull a lot of information from.
awesome. Yes, I will include information about all of those below. How about some of your best money choices and then like your biggest money mistakes? Do you have anything that comes to mind as like maybe a big mistake that you made? We'll start with that.
Like, okay, let's get comfortable now.
Okay.
I I think the best money choice that I've ever made was definitely to get started investing, hands down. I started investing and I started at a young age, and the money just grew on its own essentially. Um Other good money choices that I've made, definitely negotiating. So even when I was like fresh out of college, my first big job, I negotiated my salary and I was so scared. My like palms were sweating. I was probably stuttering with the HR lady, but I definitely negotiated because I really wanted to push myself. I wanted to practice negotiating. I wanted to kind of value set the best way that we can, try to set our value with a price tag. And I'm really proud that I was able to do that, because setting that bar at the beginning of my career is the reason why I was able to grow exponentially throughout, in terms of salary, throughout my career. So I think negotiating my first job was a really smart move of mine. um Other smart things that I have done, I think that overall it's like small decisions that make up big things. So there aren't like huge big decisions. I mean, investing was obviously the first one, and negotiating is another one. But also, I'm proud of I do something what's called small financial win. And every time that I kind of save a little bit of money, like I either cancel a subscription that I know that I haven't been using, which I did this morning actually. I like rolled out of bed and I called my magazine, like magazines.com. Sorry for the they're gonna be like, God damn, you unsubscribe. But I called because I was like, oh my God, I'm getting too many. I need to unsubscribe from some, but that to me, that's like a small financial win. And I love to celebrate small financial wins because they kind of give you momentum. You have a little small win here, then you feel like you can get another win and it'll be bigger, a little bit bigger. And what happens is that it snowballs. These small financial wins become, over the course of a year, big wins, because you've saved hundreds of dollars, and in some cases thousands of dollars. So I try to apply small financial win as often as possible.
That's awesome. And that
And
gives you,
then flip side,
yeah, bring it.
on the flip side,
Give us the
the
dirt.
bad ones, I would say one of the poor money choices that I made. I have a Chanel bag, and I
Woo.
have a couple because I told you earlier, like I go crazy with Chanel bags. But I did buy a Chanel bag that I kind of regret buying because it's like a beige bag, and it's like I didn't even take. I spent so much money on it. I spent almost $6,000 on it,
Oh,
and which, by the way,
that's about the
six
max.
thousand dollars is there you go, girl. It's the max that you could put into an IRA. If I would have put that money into my IRA, which at the time I didn't know about, it would have probably been, a good $8,000, $9,000 at this point. It might have been double, right? So that is one of like my little
Yeah.
regrets, bad money choices that I made. And what's another big one? I think some of the shoes that I bought. Yeah, so buying shoes, especially ones that are uncomfortable, that's like a major
Mm-hmm.
loss because I never really wore them. I spent so much money on them. So I would say those are things that I made poor choices on, and definitely the credit cards,
Yeah.
like accumulating that and not realizing how much interest I was paying. That was a big money mistake because I calculated how much I've spent on interest over the years, and it is ugly. I'm like, oh my God, what a waste. But of course, we live and we learn, and you reprioritize the things that you want out of life, and you move according to those priorities and those goals.
That speaks to like our behaviors that we don't even realize that we are participating in. But just that, like, I know for a long time, like this stupid watch, it's not even that expensive, but it's like I was looking forward to getting this one kind of watch for years, and then finally it's like, okay, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be our big like Christmas, birthday, whatever. And now I don't even use it. You get like that momentary, like that high or whatever, of buying something that you've wanted
Yeah,
for so long, and then it's literally
literally.
like 2 weeks later that you kind of don't care about it anymore. And there's all
Yeah.
and now monthly fees if it's associated with your, I don't know. I didn't know you were working in a college, so that was news to me. So are you teaching fashion? Is that what you're doing now in a college? And that creates different opportunities too, right? I don't
I
remember.
work at FIT. It's a
Oh, at FIT. Oh, okay.
state school. FIT, Fashion Technology. and they I teach merchandising, I teach planning, I teach fashion styling and trend forecasting.
That's awesome.
So I still work in the fashion industry. It's a passion that I've always had from a very, very young age, and my mom was super in love with fashion as well. So that's kind of what I got from her. And then my dad was an accountant and entrepreneur, like I mentioned, so I got all of my money things from him, in a sense, just ideas, you know. Of course, I developed my own because we have to learn every generation. We get a little bit better. We learn from their mistakes. But I still teach, which is
That's
really
great.
great.
I was just curious because a lot of what I've been talking to a lot of educators about, I don't know if you probably have access to this then, but the 457, you might have in your nonprofit also. But that's another, like you said, the 403B, you have a limit of 19,500, right? And you could also be, if you had tons of money and wanted to invest all of it, you could do double that. I mean, between the two different things. So that's amazing for a lot of educators. But how, like you said, things change, and you know, you learn kind of from your parents, but then you kind of grow and learn through your own experiences. How has your day-to-day, both your job situation and money situation, changed just in the last year with COVID? Have you had any huge changes, or have you been fortunate and pretty
Oh
stable?
my God. Huge, huge
Yeah.
changes. Absolutely. Because not in the spring, classes were automatically canceled
Mhm.
when everything got crazy. So classes were canceled, and I lost income because of that. I lost a lot of income because of that. And but what did end up also happening is that Investing Latina grew so much during this time because I started writing. I started getting people started seeking me out for consulting in this space, and it also became a big growth year. So it's really interesting how something like a pandemic, something like this major life-changing event that has absolutely touched so many people in one way or another. You know, there are many people that are fortunate that still have jobs, but you know, those might also still be the same people that might have lost a loved one. So it's been a really, really rough year overall. I think, you know, people have struggled to some degree. For me personally, have been a lot of shifts. And luckily, I had already been in a place where my strategy for the year, which is crazy, in the end of last year, I created what's called the survival number, and my survival number is basically the things that I need to survive on a monthly basis, right? How much do I need? What is that dollar amount? And that dollar amount for me is $581, and it includes like the rent that I pay and buying food. And the only reason that number is so low is because I house hack, and I've already mastered kind of how I eat and what are the things that I enjoy eating, so that I'm not overspending when it comes to outdoor dining or takeout that. So I've it's like it took some time in the making, but I knew that I wanted to do that as of from last year, really with the sole purpose of being able to invest more this year and to buy property. And that did not happen at all. And with everything that changed, like I did not buy the property that I was hoping to buy. You know, the real estate market is definitely at a high right now. It's really strange because even though there are a lot of people struggling right now, the real estate market and the stock market, they're both kind of responding in the same way, where they're at really high peaks. So I've had to adapt, and I think that that's how life is, and we kind of have to roll with the punches. I stick to the survival number so that I can keep my expenses low, because I have my eye on the prize in terms of what I want to do with the money that I do earn. So I've been fortunate in the way that I haven't had to struggle per se, but I've definitely like lost income in a lot of ways, and I've just had to kind of figure it out, which I think is what a lot of people we're trying our best to do right now, right? Figure it out and get through this. Hopefully, the world opens back up again and we can kind of resume our normal activity. But until then, we have to kind of stay focused, and I think we have to use the time to be reflective. And now at the end of the year is when we plan for next year. So it was smart that I was able to plan the way that I did at the end of last year, not because I was expecting something like this to happen, but because stuff like this does happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to, you know, keep that in mind that stuff can happen, and we have to make sure that we keep ourselves covered.
That's awesome advice. And just being aware of those changes is so important, because even the way you invest may change based on like what's happening right now. Like maybe like I pulled back and I'm saving more now because my job isn't necessarily secure. So I'm like, all right, we're going to be saving right now. And it's been surprising, like you said, that the stocks and everything on Wall Street is going strong, like stronger than you would expect in a normal day-to-day kind of thing. 12% is just nuts over this last year. So I just, it is important to keep your eye on all that. If it's okay, do you mind if I kind of do a screen share and kind of walk through some of your, like your Instagram and your YouTube channel to kind of show? Is that okay? Okay.
Yes, let's check it out. I know that you mentioned Bankrate earlier, and the last thing that I have on my Instagram is a feature that they shared,
Look at
which
this
is my
great level of personal
2021
finance. I love
goal.
that you have that as your tagline. And look at this, one of the Fin influencers sharing. Oh, that's so cool. And Bankrate. Oh, I did see it. I didn't realize it was. Here we go. All right. There's Julie.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
So investing.
So that's my goal for 2021.
I love.
I'm wearing my fiance color today.
Oh, look at you. Yeah, matching. And you have your Pluto Sword video. That's so exciting. So that was new. I didn't even know about Pluto Swords. And then I went looking here. I might as well show these Pluto Swords. And that's another great way to find content. Now that I've found you here, you can go to view winners. And you were like people's choice, right? That's like completely great. Yay! So cool. All right. So
very, very cool. It was
other than
a great opportunity.
Instagram, can you kind of let everybody know where they can find you if they, want to get more content from you?
Yes, everything is on investinglatina.com. So you can check me out there. I have the workshops. You'll see the upcoming workshops. They're listed there under the investing workshop. I also have a merch store on the website where I sell stickers and like fun items and t-shirts. So it's really cool for those people that like to collect those cool things and actually do a lot of budgeting with books, which I think is like such a powerful way to get a hold of your finances. And really, because my thing is that if you write down a goal, you will accomplish it, and everything that gets measured truly does get accomplished. So I have a little merch store going, and you can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Those are like my 3 home bases.
Awesome. It's important to kind of leave before we close up here.
Yes, I want to just let everybody know that, listen, life can throw a lot of curveball at us. We are definitely always going to have new challenges every year, but you can definitely navigate and you can get stronger. And I want everyone to look at money in a very optimistic lens, because you can be in a really tough place right now, and in just one short year, life can change completely for you. So just stay positive and be sure that you're putting money aside into your investing account. If you need help figuring out how to do that, you can always come to me and you can ask me money things. That's what I love to answer and engage with people that are interested in learning more. And yeah, we got this. All right, we got this money thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to me and kind of share your story. I hope you have a lot of success with your workshops coming up, because it sounds amazing. And I will be seeing you at the dividend one, because I know nothing and I need to start with you. Thank you so much, Julie. All right. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.